everybody, Cinema Buffs here bringing you our review of Logan. As you can see, Nate is not with me this week. We brought Tom Ryan-Stout back, kind enough to join us for this one. And so, Tom, you and I, big X-Men fans. Growing up, it was a pretty big deal. Personally, my favorite X-Men was Nightcrawler. How about you?
I would say Magneto. He's the all-powerful.
Yeah.
He's nasty. I like a good villain.
Excellent. So, we have a lot of history with this. There's been a ton of movies. It's been 17 years that Hugh Jackman has been playing this character. And now it's his last turn. And because it's been 17 years, the producers thought the kids who grew up on Logan are old enough to watch rated R movies now. So let's make this last Hugh Jackman Wolverine movie rated R. And so, Tom, what did you think about this direction that they did, bringing rated R violence to X-Men movie?
I'm loving the trend. They did it with Deadpool, and it seemed to be a real hit. And with Logan here, there were a lot of times audibly in the theater where I reacted to it. So violent, so gritty. It was, everybody's ready for the matureness level, and it was there. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
You feel the same way?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I feel like that's just something that was always being held back with Wolverine in general in the X-Men franchise. Just that, come on. Where's Berserker at? Let's see him rage out and really tear some people up.
For sure.
We finally get to see it with this one. And not only is the violence amped up, and that's what I expected. I was like, all right, it's going to be a little bit more violent, but there's bad language. This is a hard R movie.
It's a hard R, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, so I was very excited to see this, and it was just all these things with Wolverine where you feel like they kind of watered it down, diluted it before, and we got pure Wolverine this time.
Absolutely, 100%. You felt that way in all the X-Men movies of the past. You kind of felt like, oh, this is like a glimpse. This is just scratching the surface. It's just enough character content to get through and to make people feel invested. This was a character study through and through. And a deep one at that. Parent-child relationships, dealing with death. All of these things are just so intense, and you could feel it the whole way through the movie.
Right, and it's carried through Hugh Jackman. Of course, he's iconic with this character. Hugh Jackman, he owns this role. He is Wolverine. And I think just as much as he is Wolverine, Patrick Stewart is Professor X. No disrespect to James McAvoy. He did a fine job, but it's Patrick Stewart.
Agreed.
Through and through.
100%.
And absolutely. I think that there's a lot of vulnerability. Usually you see Professor X and he's just like this very strong individual. Even though he's in the wheelchair, he still has a very strong presence. And he is one of the most powerful mutants of all time. So to see him old and broken down, and he's got dementia. He's got some, degenerative brain disease. And so what did you think about Patrick Stewart playing a vulnerable Charles Xavier?
Well, like you said, in all the roles of the past, he has this confidence to him. Even in adversity, you know that he has an answer. He has a scheme for it. And this, he feels clueless. He feels helpless. He is at the end of his rope. He doesn't know what to do. And I think that he's finally tapping into the less mutant part of him that drives his character, and more of the humanity behind Charles Xavier and what it means to be an actual human, rather than someone that's constantly fighting or struggling with something. Just those small moments, those small breaths of humanity. It asked a lot of all of the actors in the entire film.
This young girl that I believe her name is Daphne Keane, that they got to play X-23. So they got this young girl to play this role, which I think will become iconic one day, because I think that what Marvel's going to go forward with the X-Men franchise is that X-23 will become the new Wolverine, like she did in the comics. So I think that's where they're going to go, and I think she knocked it out of the park. The first half of this movie, she's completely silent, just mute. And then, I thought, okay, they'll kind of pepper in some conversation there, and it'll get watered down. But no, I think that this girl really brought it, and along with her being a newcomer, Boyd Holbrook as Donald Pierce, the villain. I thought he did a fine job. I don't think he was a standout or anything spectacular, but I thought he did a fine job.
I don't know what it was. I can't really pinpoint it, but I didn't really enjoy him as a villain. I thought that the Doctor counterpart was more villainous because he had the bloodline with the Alkali Corporation or whatever. I thought that he was had more substance to it. I think they just put a mechanical hand. I don't know the source material for the character.
Me neither.
But it just didn't seem threatening enough. I think that the real enemy was Wolverine himself, his struggle. He was his own enemy mentally and literally.
The best thing about this movie, it's entertaining. At no point did I feel like there's any lull in the pacing, it's kind of slowing down. No, it's just every time they build some characters, and they get the story out, then boom, right back into the action. And I think it did a fine job of keeping a balance like that. And when there's not action scenes, there are some really deep themes that they explore here. I mean, you have the family dynamic not only between Wolverine and X-23, but between Wolverine and Professor X. I mean, think about it. This movie takes place about 15 years into the future. So you got to think about the entirety of this whole thing. I mean, these guys have been together like 40 years almost.
Right.
And so what do you think about the father-son relationship they kind of had in this one?
I think that it was a little bit. God, I don't even know. It just seemed a little bit more honest. It seemed to have. It was very intimate too. A lot of the things that they nod to in movies of the past or like other storylines, it really just fleshes out fully in here, and you see the relationship they have. And in this, there feels like a constant struggle, a sense of impermanence. Whereas in other movies, you're just like, oh well, there'll be a sequel or this, whatever. This feels very permanent, and this feels very like they're forced to struggle with and talk about and deal with these things that they've been going with all this time. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. This movie brought closure to it. I feel like that's kind of been a problem with the big franchises nowadays. It's something gets spun off into one thing, a sequel, another character, somebody gets brought back. But I feel like with this one, there's a sense of finality, and there's comfort in that. Just knowing that something comes full circle, you can go back to the first X-Men movie and take this journey all the way to this movie, and really feel like you got a whole story. And I feel like that's kind of where Hollywood movies fall off. You don't get a whole story. You get part of this story, part of this story to build up to that story. But no, you got one whole story, and it's smaller comic book movies. That's what I've been begging for. Smaller comic book movies.
Buffs.
All right, Tom, so we've given our thoughts on the movie. I think it's fair to say that we both really enjoyed it. Why don't you go ahead, put a number, and score this movie?
I'll watch it again. I'm probably going to go see it again on Sunday, truth be told. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really great way to, end, a good ending to and a new beginning to start. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10.
Nice. Yes, I agree that this movie is very entertaining, and I agree. I'm probably going to go see it again this weekend. And I think that the best thing about this movie is the finality of it, the closure. We all knew that this was going to be Hugh Jackman's last turn as Wolverine, but I knew that I was expecting him to end his career as Wolverine, but I wasn't expecting the story to just end so beautifully. And yes, they can go off in all these different directions with all these different characters, but for Logan, Wolverine, his character to end, I think they ended it beautifully. I'm not going to give it a perfect 10 because it's not a perfect movie, so I'm just going to go a shade below. I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this.
Dennis, you're rocking my world.
I really enjoyed this.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Buffs.
All right, so that's it for our review of Logan. What'd you guys think? Did you see the movie? What'd you think of the movie? Why don't you leave all your comments down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We truly appreciate all the support here. I want to thank Tom for once again coming in and filling in a seat.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Hopefully there's another time in the future.
Yeah. Glad you enjoyed this a lot more than Ghostbusters. Last one we dragged you along to.
Don't talk about
that. Nate will be back next week, and I'm going to be the one on vacation. But Nate's going to bring you his review of Kong Skull Island. You might have a guest with him. It might be flying solo. Who knows? But until then, don't forget, there's no place like the theater.
Alright, so we really hope you enjoyed the review. To see more reviews, click either the box on your right, and to see every future review, click the logo on your left and become one of our subscribers.